welcome to 705 Sports with Jacob and Colette, your favorite sports analyst and, well, sidekick.
You're more than a sidekick.
Just kidding. Okay, we want to talk today about the OHL. That's how we're opening up today. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for being with us again on another fantastic edition of 705 Sports. We're going to start with the O. Now, Lisa McLeod, who is the Minister of Sports, Tourism, and blah, 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 long portfolio, had an announcement yesterday, or 2 days ago, I do believe now.
Yesterday.
And Jacob, you attended this and asked a very knowledgeable question. Why don't we talk about that?
So I asked Lisa McLeod basically what was going on with the OHL and where the province stands. So she was talking about how with the new COVID modeling, how they didn't feel comfortable in doing the OHL due to hospital rates and due to the amount of cases. And then she threw in the stay-at-home order just to put the icing on the cake. Now, here's where I'm not overly thrilled with that answer. Also want to point out, we got it before TSN and Sportsnet. So stay with On TV for your sports news, because of course we got you covered.
We do,
like,
covered.
Obs.
First to get that story out is a big deal, so congratulations.
It is. So you know what? I think we got to thank the whole team for that. It was a team effort in getting that out so quickly and promptly.
Teamwork makes the dream work, baby.
Exactly. But what made me, I almost would say, uncomfortable about it. So does that mean the Leafs can't play? Does that mean the Senators can't play?
I don't understand what's going on. And also, to that point, why wasn't this addressed 2 months ago or a month ago? Like, why was the OHL, why has it been such a holding pattern when we've seen other people hit the ice and lace up? So what's up with that?
Well, never mind other. The OHL is the only minor hockey league left that hasn't played. So I find it weird, like, and don't get me wrong, I was extremely happy to see the Thunderbirds back on the ice.
Of course.
But the Thunderbirds could play.
Yeah.
But the Greyhounds can't.
Yeah.
If you think about it, it doesn't
make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense, and it's frustrating. I mean, especially for these players who are in their last year in the O. So what happens now? If you're a general manager, you're the GM of the Leafs. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Kyle Dubas was fired. You were hired.
Oh, good.
Would you be comfortable drafting someone from the O, considering you haven't seen them in a year?
And no, we want to see pucks get in deep. No, I'm just kidding. That was very GM-in. No, you have raised a very valid point. These guys haven't been on the ice since however long now. Apparently, some of the kids who are supposed to come to the Sioux to play for the Greyhounds haven't even stepped foot across the Sault Ste. Marie Welcome to Sault Ste. Marie sign yet. You know, and we're in April. So no, of course you want to see who you're going to get, and you want to see that physical work put in. You don't want to just go on, stats from 365.
And I think what's frustrating too for OHL fans, and I would say us in the media, is the only time we get an answer about the O is when we directly go for it. Like, this wasn't an announcement about the OHL, just want to clarify. It was an announcement towards funding towards tourism in Ontario. But, like, it was myself and other journalists who pushed for an answer for the OHL. Because people, frankly, want to know.
Well,
Steve Lee, they want to know, too.
I know. They're hiding behind the inevitable here because, if you're stepping out to make an announcement on tourism during what we're about to find out later today might be a bigger shutdown than we had originally anticipated or heard about last week, then, you know what? Be transparent. Talk about the OHL, and this should have been addressed 2-3 months ago. It should have been addressed by February.
I think as soon as that stay-at-home order came in, Lisa McLeod should have stepped up because she said they were close when I asked her about what was going on. And then she said they were close, but because of the stay-at-home order and the COVID modeling, it just wasn't safe. But then, maybe then as soon as that stay-at-home order was stated, she should have made an announcement, at least I'd say that week. Because you know what, we're on the edge of our seats. People are anxious, people are concerned. For these players, this is potentially their last shot to have a success in the NHL. And like realistically, most players who play in the OHL don't go on to any more professional sports. So like this could be their last chance to play professional sports. And like you just think about it, where like we've seen bubble modeling work where the NHL did a bubble, mind you, in Ontario. During our first wave.
They made that effort though.
And they made it work. We also had a bubble out west. They did a bubble for the NBA in the States. Who had much worse COVID numbers than we have here. And it's getting to that point. It's like if we don't do something soon, maybe even, I hate saying this because I want them to play desperately, but at least if you just canceled it, at least then these players would know.
Yeah, the domino effect is vast. I mean, it's not just a couple teams that we're talking about. I mean, there's people's futures and careers.
Oh, and you know what? I think that's also important to bring up to these players' mental health. They're sitting at home, like, are we playing? Are we not playing?
Yeah.
Do I train? Do I relax? And you got to think of it. If you were waiting every day for the past year to find out if you're going to come in and do your job or not, that would really add a lot of stress and anxiety towards your day-to-day living. So, like, I think we need to remember they're more than just athletes. They're people.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said, my friend. Okay, I think that's good on our OHL rant, although we could go on. How about we go into the NHL? We're going to talk a little bit about the Vancouver Canucks, I see.
So there's been some issues going, as I think anyone who knows, whether you're a sports fan or not, knows about the Vancouver Canucks COVID-19 issues.
Yep.
So they were the first team in the NHL to deal with the new variants. They now only have 3 players on the COVID-19 protocol list, which is great to see, but they still feel they're not ready to play. They were originally supposed to play today versus the Oilers. As of last night, they postponed that game. A big factor to that was TJ Miller spoke with TSN saying that the players just were not ready to go.
Okay.
And that's what really pushed the envelope to go through on not playing this game. As of right now, they are scheduled to play the Leafs tomorrow.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's going to happen or not. I mean, I hope it does because... Yeah. And I mean, I understand for these athletes, they're not in game shape. They haven't played since March 20th. That's pretty difficult. They only started practicing this week. Like, they actually did have 22 players out for practice yesterday.
So what I want to clarify right now is those players who were out, did they in fact have COVID?
I believe 18 of them did.
Okay, so they've served their 14-day...
And they've tested negative 4 times.
But that's still, you were sick. You had COVID-19. What's your performance going to be like when you step on the ice?
Well, that's the thing. So the Vancouver Canucks general manager did put out a statement saying that they are making sure every player has been evaluated before going out to practice, but they had a problem with their last practice where players started feeling concussion-like symptoms.
Well, I mean, we're talking about some lung issues with this COVID-19, right? So
and the new variants, which the NHL had never dealt with until this.
Listen, if you ever had a cold or a flu before and then asked to go for a walk down the street next day.
Never mind play 60 minutes.
60 minutes whatever, but I mean, you're still engaged in a game for 60 minutes. Yeah. Your head has to be in it. I don't think I'd be able to do it.
It's tough. I can see both sides to it. I understand where the NHL is coming from, saying we need to get the games going if they want to finish their season.
Sure.
And I don't know if Vancouver maybe at this point needs to either bring up their minor league players or, I hate saying it, maybe forfeit the season if they just... And you know, I'm not even blaming the players for saying they don't feel they can play. If they don't feel they're in game shape ready, they're risking injury, and... If they're having issues from COVID-19, this could cause further health implications. And let's be honest, like I said about the OHL, they are people, not just athletes. But it's getting to the point now where they need to play 19 games in about 30 days to finish on time. And I don't mean to sound awful, the Vancouver Canucks are sitting 6th in the North. Them making the playoffs is also highly unlikely. You might see them just take their winning percentage and unfortunately calling it a year, which is sad.
So when do you think we'll know about this, about how they're going to proceed? What's your guess?
My guess is we should hear by either this evening or tomorrow morning whether they play Saturday.
Okay.
There's been some speculation that they might play on Sunday, Monday, since they're not feeling ready to play Saturday. But I don't know if they should be playing a back-to-back.
That just sounds absurd, or unlikely, really, right?
Realistically, I don't see Vancouver finishing the season. The NHL is going to try, but I'm saying it's a 50-50 shot whether they finish the year. It's not like, and again, I'm not saying one team is worth more than another, but if, let's say it was the Toronto Maple Leafs who are first in the North, you would kind of have them finish their season because they're a cup contender. With the Vancouver Canucks, no disrespect, but they're not even really realistically looking into being in a playoff spot.
Okay, we're running down to time after this first segment, so we need to hustle along. Sorry, buddy. Let's talk Leafs for a second. We've got Anderson, we've got Matthews, we've got Nylander. Let's start with Matthews. What's going on with him?
So Austin Matthews re-aggravated his wrist hand injury, which is why he didn't play last night in the 5-2 loss versus the Jets. They really missed on that game.
Yeah.
So Sheldon Keefe says it's nothing to be overly concerned about. We're looking that, who knows, he was only listed day to day. He could be back as early as Saturday if if that game happens.
Yeah.
William Nylander is projected to practice with the team again this weekend. They're just waiting for his fourth and final negative test of COVID-19.
Test. I was going to ask you that. What are the stipulations around coming back to the team? How many
Four
tests?
negative
Four
tests.
negative tests.
The NHL is careful.
And do you know what the time period is between each test?
That I do not. I believe it's once a day.
Okay. All right. So rapid testing type of deal.
It is, which the NHL's been doing that from the beginning. That's why besides Vancouver and Buffalo, like Vancouver's the worst one by far, but Buffalo also had a bit of a COVID-19 issue.
Yeah.
For the most part, the NHL's done a pretty good job, and these protocols have worked.
Well, Dallas Stars was the original team.
Right, they were the first
if you remember way back when the season was beginning, that they had to delay their start time. Okay, one more thing, Freddie Anderson. We're going to talk Freddie.
Anderson did practice, not with the team. He just practiced with the goaltending coach.
Okay.
So I don't know what this means of Anderson, because he's been up and down in the whole season with injuries. I mean, last time when a goaltender was injured like this, it was Jack Campbell. Once he started practicing with the goaltending coach, he was 3 weeks out. So I'm not saying Campbell and Anderson are the same, obviously, but it's looking, I would still guess, at least another couple weeks before we see Anderson actually being back in game action.
Okay. All right. Well, listen, we've got a lot more sports coming right up. Don't move. We're going to talk baseball. We're going to talk Raptors, and we're going to talk all about that after this commercial break.
Loss is something that never leaves you. Donate $45 today to help victims of impaired driving. A message from MAD Canada.
Welcome back to 705 Sports, and you know what, speaking of trades, we made a little trade for the segment. We traded Colette for Dan. So Dan, thank you for joining me on this segment, because we're going to talk some CFL, some Blue Jays, and maybe some Raptors. We'll see.
We'll see where we get.
We see if we can dunk through the content.
Yeah, okay.
Well, let's start with the CFL, which may not see a touchdown this year again. The CFL is expected to announce on Tuesday, April the 20th, the postponing of the season. Now, the reason why I emphasize postponing, meaning they are not going to necessarily cancel it, but they're running into some hiccups with the federal government, again, not giving them their $30 million interest-free loan, which last year cost the federal government $15 million in wage subsidy, which makes absolutely no sense in my head. But unfortunately, the CFL will not be starting on time, as training camp would be next week.
Well, and we're getting back to that argument that we had last week, which is they need to do something before the fall.
Yeah, 100%.
College football, NFL buries them. If they're not going to go before fall, just don't go.
But at the same time, you kind of have to go, because if you don't go, we're going to get unseen, unheard.
Right.
So I think they
OHL syndrome.
OHL 100%. I think they missed a huge opportunity when they just didn't go when they had the XFL announcement. Whether the money was fully there or not, they should have at least tried to get the training camps going, because there was so much hype around the CFL, the most I had seen in, frankly, years.
So what do you think, from your perspective, what is stopping them? Is it Ontario's stay at home? Because right now we're half of the total national value of new COVID cases a day. Is that what's scaring them away, knowing we have Toronto and Hamilton? Is it the fact we don't have any fans at any point in time in the near future? Okay, so do you operate at less of a cost if you cancel the season or postpone the season, or there's still costs involved? These people still have contracts. They still have possible wage subsidies, whatever else happens to be. So other leagues are playing without fans. Why can't the CFL?
Well, the reason why the CFL is having a harder time to go without fans. So I want you to go into a sporting goods store. You're going to see Matthews jerseys from the Toronto Maple Leafs. You're going to see a Kyle Lowry jersey from the Toronto Raptors. You're going to see a Bo Bichette jersey from the Toronto Blue Jays. You'll see some Toronto FC jersey, because I can't think of a player off the top of my head. And then you're going to look for an Argo jersey. You're going to look for a Rough Rider jersey. You're going to look for a Tiger Cats jersey. And you know what? You're not going to see any. So they don't sell the merch the way these other leagues do that creates their income. All their revenue comes from your butt in the stands in the Canadian Football League.
So we've been gone a year. how many of those butts in the stands that were yearly season ticket holders, again, because you're taking into effect COVID again. Mm-hmm. You got to put yourself beside somebody else who you don't know necessarily. Yeah. Like, we're going to be spacing them out. We're going to do 15%, 20% as we come back. Like, we're talking, getting into baseball here, they're talking maybe by Canada Day we might be able to have
the Jays
at 10 or 15% at the Rogers.
I hadn't heard that. That's fantastic news.
It was just something that I picked up. It could just be rumor on the Twitter mill. That's what happens. Mm-hmm. But there was conversation that they would really like to try and have them back by Canada Day. Do I see it happening with what's happening now? No, absolutely not. But look at Los Angeles. Well, they're going to San Diego. The Dodgers are going to San Diego tonight. We're just kind of getting back in there. 40% in the stands. So at what point in time does that become feasible for the CFL?
Well, I think that's one of the reasons. How many do you need? I think that's one of the reasons why the CFL is going to be postponing the season. As the vaccine rollout goes through more and more, we will be able to have more fans in the stands. So I think that's been rumored according to Third Down Nation. That's the main reason why the CFL wants to hold back on starting the year, to hope that realistically pretty much every single CFL arena is an outdoor arena. So it's been shown in the States, and I mean, at least what their medical officers are saying, that it's a lot safer to have fans in an outdoor arena than an indoor arena. It makes sense due to ventilation and whatnot. So I think the CFL is hoping as more and more people get vaccinated, and there are hundreds of thousands of people being vaccinated a day, I think they're hoping that's when they can have more fans in the stands. By then, hopefully, Ontario has things under control. Now, mind you, the CFL is one of the only leagues that the Canadian teams in Ontario, like Hamilton makes a lot of revenue, but Toronto and Ottawa are kind not so much. It's more your Winnipeg and your Rough Riders, that are and Calgary and Edmonton. They're the teams that are making you your money. Not so much.
Because even Vancouver is not so much of a three. BC is not so much.
No, the BC Lions, they're kind of around the Argos and Red Black situation. So I think for them, if they can get it where those other provinces can have fans in the stands, and mind you, the Argos aren't as big of an issue towards income because they're owned by Toronto Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment, right? So they have a lot more money to play with than all these other ones. But as soon as that update becomes available on the CFL on whether they're postponing it, I will be running into a studio, slapping a microphone on, headphone falling out because I'm in a hurry, making sure I'm getting you that update ASAP. But Dan, I know you're here to talk about some Jays. So what do you think of their start so far?
Same problem still. More strikeouts. We're really, really streaky. We'll get 15 runs in a game. We'll get 7 runs in a game. We'll get no runs in a game. Biggest change from last week to this week, though, however, is injuries. Charlie Montoya said last night, you're talking to Sportsnet, said something to the effect of, the easiest part of managing this team right now is when it actually comes around to game time, because they're trying to figure out, like, they've lost Romano now for which was their setup man for an ulnar nerve, who knows how long, in the pitching arm. Probably 4 or 6. Nobody's speculating. So now, and we've lost Merriweather now, which was our closer
temporarily.
Our second closer,
who was doing a pretty good job
for an oblique strain. Well, oblique strains in pitching are just not a dime a dozen, but they are very hard to get through.
Okay,
they're very difficult to heal properly without rest, and then you got to bring his arm strength back up, etc., etc. So we're probably without our setup. Then we've looked at our starting pitching staff. They're doing something this weekend that actually is kind of interesting. In Kansas City, they started with lefty last night, and for the next 3 nights, they will start left-handed pitchers. That's the first time in Jays history that's happened.
That's interesting. And I will say with the Jays, at least last night, was something I was happy to see. I didn't like that they went down 7-0 so early, but the way they pushed back, that shows resilience to get 4 runs in the 6th inning, another run in the 7th, to at least make it a game.
Especially when you've lost Kelvin halfway through. Like, Biggio took a ball off the hand. There really hasn't been much of an update to his status yet.
So let's hope he's okay, because he is one of the Jays' best players.
He's one of their keys.
My favorite player, personally.
No, well, Bichette's your favorite player.
Sorry.
This is Biggio. This is the other guy that doesn't get all the spotlight. Get your stuff together if you're gonna talk. No, I'm kidding. we're looking at it as, so we have a replacement at third. Mm-hmm. He did not too bad last night.
Right.
He's not your everyday third baseman.
No.
You could see Vlad go back across the diamond, but he's doing so well picking up at first, and I think the fact that he doesn't have to think about so much about defensively is helping his offense game. So I do not see how that's going to moving him back across the diamond where he struggled, but he struggled at 40 pounds higher.
Right.
And getting to his fitness level is amazing.
Which is good to see.
And the way he's stretching out and everything else, and I think it's really helping him both defensively and in the batter's box.
But you know what? This happens every time Dan and I get talking. We already got to go to a commercial break. But Dan, thank you for joining us. I think we'll try to make this a weekly or bi-weekly thing where Dan comes in so we can get an update from the Jays on someone who really knows the Jays. I'm okay, but Dan is your expert for the Blue Jays.
You don't even know who your favorite player is. Come on now.
But we will be right back right after this commercial break. Don't go anywhere. We have so much more to talk about and what's going on around the NHL. Stay with us.
Is going to a party really worth it? Putting yourself at risk puts everyone at risk. Help limit the spread of COVID-19.
Welcome back to 705 Sports with Jacob and Colette. I just want to take the time to thank Dan Gray for stepping in and covering all the baseball sports knowledge for me. Base.
Because bases in baseball.
Why do the coaches dress like the players?
I don't, that's actually something I want to bring up at some point on the show. I don't understand, because sometimes I'm like, wait, are there two guys on the base? I'm like, oh, it's the coach. It's
as you know, I love sports. I'm a big sports girl. I love pretty much every sport out there. I just don't feel the baseballs. I don't, and I apologize for it. And I mean, I'm from Hamilton, so I'll be a Toronto Blue Jays fan just because. But thanks, Dan, for stepping in, buddy. Now that there's skates back on the next segment, that means we're back on the ice. That means I'm back on the desk. Let's go.
So you know what? I want to start by talking about the Calgary Flames.
Okay.
So as you remember, during our trade deadline preview and recap, I said the Flames should sell.
Yes, you did. And we can even rewind that at one. Rewind.
They're only 4 points behind the Habs all of a sudden.
Oh.
And get this. Let's say they
Calgary
play well for the rest of the season and even win 4 against the Habs.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, what we thought was pretty much set in stone, the spots for the playoffs, get a little interesting.
Yes.
So keep your eye on that. I'm actually really excited about that because, I mean, it looks like the Leafs are more than likely going to make the playoffs. They're currently 19 points ahead.
More than likely. They are
Flames,
definitely going to. Positive thinking.
Positivity. The power of positivity. A PP, which the Leafs suck at. But that's for another day.
Right?
Where they only have one goal in their last 40. You know what, screw it. Let's talk about it now. Yeah. Now I'm angry about it. What are they doing? They're not putting traffic in front of the net. They're like, oh, I know. You know what? This is an all-star game, right? So let's make all these fancy plays. You know what? When you score a fancy goal, it doesn't count as 2 goals, doesn't count as 3 goals, it still counts as 1 bloody goal. So just put the puck in the net. Put it in the net. It's the same size whether you're on a power play, shorthanded, whatever. And you know what, Keith? Maybe try a different group.
Oh.
Maybe try 2 defensemen. Maybe put out your third line players to see if they'll do anything.
Switch it up, man.
Do something. Because I look at it, we lost last night because of our bad special teams. Think about it. The Leafs were up 1-0, right?
Uh-huh.
Then they go on a power play. Then they have a 5-on-3. They don't score. Winnipeg scores. So imagine if they at least got 1 goal out of those power plays there. It would have been 2-0, completely different game, completely different momentum. I don't know why I'm hitting the desk.
I don't know. But you're angry because it's bothersome.
It's frustrating. It's like, you look at the talent this team has. Excuse me while I fix my headphone. Apparently I have to do that 20 times a day. But I don't understand why the power play was so good at the beginning. And then why are we still trying the same stuff that doesn't seem to work? That would be like if I'm going to continue to do something every day even though I know it will fail.
I believe Einstein said that is...
definition of insanity.
Definition of insanity, right there. Doing things over with the same result. Not a good one.
It is just so... Did I mention so? Frustrating.
Sometimes.
And you look at it, now we'll look at the North Division. If they won that game, they would have been 7 points ahead of the Jets for first. Now they're only 3. Mm-hmm.
You're depressing me right now.
And I mean, don't get me wrong, as John Tavares said, their 5-on-5 play has been spectacular. But if you don't get going on your power plays, you are going to lose.
Okay.
Especially when our penalty kill is, it's not bad, but like it's not outstanding. So we need our power play to be strong. Because we're an offensive team first, not a defensive team.
Mm-hmm. Oh, the Leafs aren't a defensive team? Really, Jacob?
Yeah.
How many years have every Leafs fan out there been saying, get a couple strong defensemen?
Oh, come on, they got the Untitled
I was just going to say, number 3 was not a problem, a solution to that problem. Not a problem to them. Who in their right mind chose Dion Phaneuf? Not only, he was fine where he was, right? He was fine. As soon as he put on a Toronto Maple Leafs jersey, it was like, what in the heck happened to Dion Phaneuf? Number 3, who was a captain for the Toronto Maple Leafs, a captain who followed in the steps of Matt Sundin.
See, I was not a big Matt Sundin fan.
It doesn't matter. He's just not at the same caliber when he came to the Leafs.
See, I like Dion Phaneuf. He was a physical defenseman. He had a pretty darn good shot. I mean, you know how you feel right now about me saying...
Put the boxes up, Mike. Put the boxes of
the
our
way
argument.
that you feel about me saying I like Phaneuf is how I felt when you compared Johnny Hockey to Alexander Ovechkin.
That's unrealistic, Jacob. That guy wore the C. The C. The C. For the biggest...
Is that a C?
That's a C. That's an angry C.
Looks like an A. Or
That's
like
an angry C. You cannot tell me that Dion... You know, we'll get back to the defense situation in a minute because it is a situation that we all know and love as a Leaf fan. But that was not a solution to the problem. And to whoever stitched that C on his jersey, call me.
You know, I think we got to move on.
I got
even
nothing
though
else.
we're getting pretty heated, but we got to quickly
I am the
break.
new GM of the Toronto Maple Leafs, remember? Anyway, okay.
We'll break down the rest of the North.
My
The
heart's
Leafs are
beating.
at first, 60 points. Jets now second, 57. Oilers are falling behind with only 52. Habs finish off the teams that are making the playoffs with 45. Flames 41. Canucks 35. And you're going to smile when I say the Senators at 32.
Yes, I was just going to say, how was Ottawa, Phaneuf? How was Ottawa? Ha, ha, ha.
Well, let's... You broke me again.
I broke you again.
And I'm scared.
I think you scared of me again.
A little bit. I'm just going to...
You can't hide behind the laptop.
But let's quickly go over the games going on tomorrow.
Okay.
We think we'll have the Leafs versus the Canucks.
Okay.
As of right now, it is scheduled. I'm going to say the Leafs are going to win that game. This will be the Canucks' first game back playing the best team in another division.
Okay.
The only thing that might happen is the Leafs might go to bed.
Go to bed.
Go to bed about as early as Kevin Cheveldayoff did during trade deadline for the Winnipeg Jets. But if you want to hear more about my thoughts on that, rewind to Tuesday's show that aired Wednesday because of technical issues. I do not like calendars, people. But
And we worked so hard to get that Tuesday show out.
And then the other game we have is the Oilers versus the Jets. This is a must-win for Edmonton, and I'm going to tell you why.
Oh, you tell me why, because we have 1 minute left. So you have 60 seconds to tell me why.
If Edmonton wants to catch Winnipeg and Toronto, they need to start beating Winnipeg and Toronto.
Okay.
They've been, sure, they're undefeated against Ottawa. Well, that's swell. But, I mean, if you're not beating the teams that are better than you, you're not going to rise to the top of the division. So for Edmonton, I think maybe they need to show Ken Holland, hey, you were right not fixing our biggest issue of not getting a secondary scoring. Connor McDavid's going to play like 48 minutes every game, and then they'll win.
We love
Or he'll
Connor
fall
McDavid.
asleep because he's exhausted.
Am I allowed to say Connor McDavid is like, you know, to the Oilers as Wayne Gretzky was to the Oilers? Can I say that today without getting
It's a little more comparable. And as much as I can't stand Wayne Gretzky because of the way he high-sticked Doug Gilmour.
Okay.
But
listen.
I wasn't even alive.
I was just about to go down your throat and say, how dare you diss the Wayner? Mike, can you put up the boxes, please? Okay. I'm sorry it has to happen. Listen, I agree with you. That Wayne Gretzky crap that was pulled on Doug Gilmour, my Dougie Gilmour.
I feel safe.
My Dougie Gilmour, who used to be 39, who went to 93, who puts the left side of his equipment on first because of, you know, that was a superstition. I know everything about Doug Gilmour. Again, I do agree with you. Wayne Gretzky, shame on you. Shame on you officials for not calling
For not making that call. But you know what?
that could have been our year. And as Leaf fan, we will stick by that.
But that's the referee talk is another day. Which,
another day.
You know, if you have any topics that you think we should talk about, feel free to smash them in the comments. You know, punch that like button in the face, as they would say. Top of the morning to you. Top of the evening to you. But you know what? We gotta go. Thanks, Colette. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, me. Thank you to the technical crew of On TV. But now we're gonna leave.
Well, thank you to them. Thank you to you.
And thank you, fans.
Have a good weekend.
Bye.